Hey, so I thought I'd take you through the process today of setting up my new McGill flight deck, Powell Peralta flight deck. I actually got this deck quite a few months ago and I haven't got around to setting it up for a couple of reasons. One of them is it's just so pretty and it's such an iconic graphic, and I couldn't bear the thought of writing on it and scratching it all up, and I was thinking I might just put it on the wall as a wall hanger. But my lovely partner got me the Series 15 Mike McGill reissue for Christmas. So now that's on the wall, which means this one doesn't have to be on the wall. The other reason I haven't got around to setting it up yet is because I just really like my old deck. I've been riding this one for quite a long time now, and it's actually the second time I've had this exact shape. And it's a great sort of 90s pool style shape, and I just really like it and I'm really enjoying it. But it is getting a bit old and tired, and it's starting to look like it might delaminate soon. The wheels need replacing. Some kid at the skate park actually asked me why my skateboard sounds like a lawnmower, because it's got flat spots and it goes, you know how it is. So it's time to give this one a go, and hey, I bought it and I've got it and I might as well try it out. And it could be my last deck, who knows? I turned 50 this year, so I don't know how much longer I'll be skating for. One thing I've already done is I got some rails. I always use rails on my skateboards for an embarrassing reason. The main reason I use rails, honestly, just between you and me, is just nostalgia, because we always did. When I was a kid, we always had rails, and it just doesn't look right without the rails to me. It's got nothing to do with controlling my speed on board slides or anything like that. I'm not even very good at board sliding. But I got rails, and I got pig rails because Jeff Grosso said on some video ages ago that they were the best ones. R.I.P. Jeff Grosso. So that's why I used pig rails. I got these cool red ones. It took me a while. I had to track down the red ones, but I found them from an Australian website, and they're going to look super cool on this deck, I reckon. And I've already put this foam tape. It's like a double-sided foam tape that I put on the bottom of these rails for a couple of reasons. One is when I got these out of the packet, I was quite surprised how skinny they were. I mean, I'm not sure if they're any skinnier than my other. These are pig rails too. I think these are skinnier, but maybe they're just the same and they were always that skinny. But I just was surprised at how skinny they are, because I've got these Santa Cruz ones as well, and they're a lot thicker. So the foam tape will prop them up a little bit and just help make sure the rails give clearance to the graphic. The other thing is they're double-sided tape, which means I can position them on the board before I screw them, and also they might just absorb some shock and they might just stop with any rattle or anything like that. Not that I've ever really had a problem with rails rattling, but that's just another reason to give the foam tape a go. I've never used foam tape on rails before. I've always just screwed them straight in. But that's going to be the first thing we do, is the rails on this deck, because normally I do the grip tape first like most people do, but because it's a flight deck and it's a little bit skinnier than normal, there's some concern that maybe the screws will poke through the wood, and if that happens I'll need to grind the screws down a bit, and that's going to be difficult to do with grip tape on. So I'm going to put the rails on first and then the grip tape. In terms of grip tape, I've got some pretty cool Powell Peralta grip tape. We're going all out with the Powell Peralta theme today. You see I've got my Powell t-shirt on and my Bones hat on. Why not? It's a McGill, it's a Powell. Let's just go the whole hog. So I've got this cool Powell Peralta. Grip tape, and I've also got this Animal Chin grip tape that's got pictures from the Animal Chin movie. I wasn't sure which one I was going to use. I was having trouble deciding, but I've come up with an idea to kind of blend them. I've always tried to do kind of interesting things with my grip tape. This is an old board of mine where I did an old cab board where I did a pretty cool grip tape design. So I'll try and do something interesting with those bits of grip tape. But first, the rails. Right, so normally when I put rails on a deck, I don't measure anything. I just eyeball it and go, oh yeah, that's about right, and I just screw the screws straight in, and I don't drill any pilot holes or anything like that. But this is a flight deck, and obviously it's way more expensive, so I'm just trying to be a little bit more careful and make sure everything is right, and I'm a little bit nervous, in all honesty. So firstly, we want to make sure the back holes of the rails just go slightly behind these truck holes. if you have the rail too far forward, it creates this sort of weak spot here, and I've had quite a few decks snapped there from having rails not back enough. Yes, rest in peace all these decks. Yeah, obviously it took me a while to figure that out. So I'm just marking where the truck bolt holes are in relation to the edge of the deck. Just got a whiteboard marker, so it's easy to just rub it off when I'm done. You want the rail to be probably about 2 centimeters in from the edge of the deck, which is about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch or 4/5 of an inch or something like that. It just depends how much concave you've got. And what I've done is I've just used a scalpel to cut some sections of tape here so that I can just peel off the ends and stick down the ends, which means I'm not sticking down the whole rail at first, so I can kind of, you know, move it back and forth and figure out exactly the right place. You don't see me do that in the video because I've edited all that out, so it looks like I just got it perfectly right first time, which I pretty much did, but I'm kind of, I don't know, OCD or something, so there's a lot of, in reality there was a lot of 1 millimeter this way and 1 millimeter that way adjustments, tiny little adjustments that probably make no difference at all. And then you just want to check that there's clearance between the rail and the graphic. So if the rails are too close to the edge of the board, the graphic will be lower than the rails, which makes the rails kind of pointless. And now I'm just kind of double checking everything because, you know, my, I don't know, whatever other undiagnosed mental health issue I have, I'm sure there's something. And now the super scary part, drilling holes in my lovely flight deck. Just doing the outside ones for the moment, at both ends of each rail, and just trying to make sure I don't go through the top of the deck, which would be easy to do on a flight deck because they're a little bit thinner than normal decks, and I think I actually did go slightly too far on one hole. Might have been that one right there, but it's fine, it's only one. And then just drilling the screws, and I'm just doing either end of both rails so then I can adjust the middle bit. I usually like to bend the middle of the rail out a bit to follow the curve of the deck, although this particular deck doesn't have a lot of curve. It's slightly less shaped than my usual boards. And stoked to find out that the screws haven't actually gone through to the top of the deck, so that's really good. And now I'm just checking again. I don't know why I'm checking again, measuring everything again. Like I say, I need some kind of therapy. Okay, so the middle one, so I'm just trying to bend the rail out a little bit towards the edge of the deck just to kind of curve it slightly, and then just drilling and screwing the middle holes of the rail, and then the ones in between will just kind of naturally fall into place. As easy as that. So now we can move on to, oh no, checking again that the rails are exactly where they were when I stuck them down. Okay, so now I'm actually taking them off, which may seem odd, but I saw this on somebody else's setup video. They took the rails off, and you know there's those little volcanoes that are created in the deck from the screwing, little raised bits, and we're just going to sand those down. Again, not something I normally do, but hey, why not make the job much harder than it has to be? Right, so after peeling off the rest of the backing tape, I'm just putting the screws back in the rail just enough so that they just poke out the bottom, so that when I reposition the rail on the deck, you can feel the screws going into the little holes there, so you can just make sure you get it in just the right place, because you don't want to be drilling new holes. You want to make sure the screws go into the old holes. Very easy just to end up making new holes with the screws. And we are done, all finished. Oh no, we're just I'm just tightening it with a hand screwdriver, which is never probably going to be as tight as the drill was anyway. Okay, now we are done. It is all finished, which is kind of a relief because that was a little bit scary. Alright, the grip tape. Like I was saying earlier, I had trouble choosing between these two bits of grip tape. I found them both quite cool, so I had this idea to blend them. And I know you've probably seen from the thumbnail already what I ended up doing, but this is the process. So I'm just measuring it to try and make sure I get the angles just right here, and marking it with a white coloured pencil, which worked quite well for marking the grip tape. And now I'm just using your mum's scissors, because my mum said no, don't use your wife's scissors or your partner's scissors or your mum's scissors for this job, because it will blunt them. Just go buy some cheap scissors. It'll be good because they're sharp, and then when they're wasted, it doesn't matter. And I have tried using scalpels to cut grip tape. It never really works for me. So I find scissors just to be the easiest way to do it. Personally, it's a bit fiddly, but look, it worked. There you go. Looks good. And now I've just flipped it over, and that white piece is the animal chin grip tape. That's the back side of that, and I'm just tracing around the edges that I've cut with a pencil. There you go. Now you've got to make sure that you cut away the right bit, because when you're doing a fiddly job like this, you tend to hack away big bulk bits that you don't need. And at one point I cut through one of the bits I did need, thinking it was the bit that I didn't need, so negative space or whatever. So just make sure you're cutting away the right part. In this case I need the outside bits, but I don't need the middle bit. So don't hack away at the outside bits is what I'm saying. And after all that, it's actually worked out surprisingly well. Looks pretty good. Just give the deck a little bit of a wipe down, get rid of any dust or anything. You don't want anything getting under the grip tape. And time to stick this bit down. I'm just cutting away a section of the backing tape here, which I kind of regret in hindsight. I'll tell you why. It helped me stick it down there, but then there's nothing to grab here. So actually I wouldn't do that, just peel it. This is obviously the most fiddly, tricky part. You just have to be very slow and patient and push everything down every step of the way, make sure there's no air bubbles. So you're trying to make sure it's straight, you're trying to make sure there's no bubbles, and then when you get to the middle part where it's quite a lot skinnier, you're trying to make sure you don't rip it. So this is pretty fiddly. Last little bit for this section. And done. And a big sigh of relief. I had this thought that I would use a skateboard wheel to roll it out, make sure it was all flat. I don't think that achieved anything, in all honesty. I think that was the most pointless thing I've done this whole process. That is by far the most difficult part done. Now just the tail section, and that's the nose section actually, and then the tail section. This part obviously much easier. Just cutting off a bit of excess before I start the filing process. I really should have used a sharper file. This took way longer than it needed to. At some point here my phone stopped recording and we missed a bit, so we skipped straight to this, and you've missed the scalpeling around the edges, but never fear, I decided to change a part of the tail section because I didn't particularly like the graphic that was there, so I just decided to use a different part of the grip tape. Thought it looked a bit better, so you'll get to see the whole process with the filing around the edges and then the scalpeling it off. So the file creates some thin bits around the edges, and you can just easily just cut through them with a scalpel. And just some tidying up, and it is done. I mean, it looks pretty sick. Well, I'm absolutely stoked how this has come out. It actually looks way better than I even imagined it would. It's my first Mike McGill deck to ride anyway. I've had a couple on the wall, but I've never actually had a Mike McGill rider. And the funny thing is that Mike McGill's actually on the top of the graphic right there. I didn't even notice when I was putting it on. It was completely unintentional. But there he is, the man himself. We won't be doing any McTwists on this though. I can't even do backside ears yet. But I am looking forward to chucking some trucks and wheels on it and going for a skate. We'll be using some new bits, some old bits. I got some new mounting hardware because one of my bolts snapped a little while ago. So I got some new mini logo hardware. And I used riser pads because I use quite big wheels, 58s. Normally I used to use 60s. And I tried some 58s and found that they were just as good. Tighten up the bolts enough that the top screws sink into the board on top so you don't get any sticky out bits. I've got some new bearings. These are Bronson G3s. They're somebody's signature model. Apologies to whoever's signature model they are, but I don't know that person. But all the signature ones were on special and the normal ones weren't. And some Spitfires that I shelved a few years back because I just thought they were slipping out a little bit, but I've been convinced to try them again. So I've got the Formula 4s back on the board because they don't seem to make the original Formula Spitfires anymore. Even the classics, even the OG classics are Formula 4 now, which is a shame because I really loved the original Formula Classic OGs. I thought about trying some Bones SPFs on this board, being that it's a Powell, but I had these, so I went with them. And of course, don't forget the stickers. What board is complete without stickers? And we are all ready to go.
Yeah.